Greetings and welcome, viewers. I am your host and storyteller, Sylvanov. Thank you for joining us while we delve into the world of darkness with Vampire the Masquerade. This stream is intended for a mature audience and does contain mature themes that may not be suitable for all viewers. The game revolves around a dark horror theme and may contain content that may be a trigger for some audience members. Please keep in mind that this is a work of fiction. The views and actions of the characters are not explicitly the views or actions of the actual players. At no time should any of the violence or horror portrayed in our game be attempted by anyone at any time for any reason. Please sit back, grab a drink and a snack, and join us on the shadowy path that is the world of darkness. And now, before we start, please meet and welcome our players for this afternoon.
Good evening. I am Raven, and I play Annabelle the Nosferatu.
Good evening. I am Mitwan, and I am your affable Mr. Ezekiel White.
And we will be joined later by Miss Ravinia playing the part of Dr. J. Weiss. So, as it were, back at the Nosferatu Flophouse, Annabelle and Zeke have gathered. Zeke seems to be a bit off cue, seems to be preoccupied with just about everything. He's unbalanced, Annabelle.
Annabelle has unfolded herself from the bathtub as per her usual ritual these nights. Something bothering you, Mr. White?
Caves, no more. Danger all there.
Of course, Mr. White. But besides the caves, you seem something else. What's on your mind?
I everything. She's back. They're gone. It's getting too much. Closing in on me. They're all closing in on me.
Who's closing in? Mr. White, you're talking in riddles, and you know how I detest your wordplay, so why don't you spit it out?
I did some bad things previous nights. And I need to speak to my professional to help with this. My family are gone. My blood family has returned. And everything that has gone on the last week is finally hitting me. Going back down there, down there has brought back all the terror of the night. And I need help from an associate.
So what do you require of me, Mr. White?
Just a simple ride over to an office building.
We can. That's doable. Are you okay to travel? You're talking about your words. Are you hungry? Because you do have dear Mr. Jones, the neighbor, to keep your mind on a little bit.
Why don't we visit Mr. Jones, and the both of us can bring down our peckishness.
Mr. White, no thank you. I will let you attend to Mr. Jones. I will be waiting in the car. So you
Okay.
come to me when you are ready.
He'll go do his little feeding episode with Mr. Jones then.
It goes
Bang
about
on his
as
door.
it goes as about as expected. Mr. Jones is not exactly happy to see you.
Yeah,
Doesn't really put up much of a fight.
good.
Lets you get away with what you need to do.
I'll take 2 and give him 1, so I'll be back up to 1.
Okay. That will work just fine.
And then I will seek her out in the car immediately afterward.
Okay.
Ready to travel, Mr. White?
Yes, that I am.
Excellent. Do lead the way, and I assume you can point out the way to the place.
It is on the other side of the highway, about 3 or 6 miles from where we usually meet everybody at the club.
Okay, Mr. White. I will head in that direction. You'll have to be more specific as we get closer, of course, but that's okay.
He eventually
Yes.
gives you an address. You both make it there within a few minutes. It's not a far drive. Traffic's pretty light. You pull up. It's an unassuming office building. It's labeled as a medical office building. There's a placard out front showing all the different offices that are there. What do you do when you get there? You get out of the car, Annabelle or Zeke? I know you're.
I am going to park far out in the parking lot, or the farthest I can from the building, instead of parking right up on top of the building.
Okay.
I will get out of the vehicle when Mr. White gets out of the vehicle.
I'll get out a minute or 2 after she parks, kind of tap again on my own collarbone just to center myself and turn to look at her.
Mhm.
Do you have any plans for the next, say, hour?
Yes, Mr. White, they're my own. I will be around, but I will come back to the vehicle when it is time. So I suppose I will meet you back here.
As you wish. Then this is us departing for a while.
Of course,
Stay
Mr.
safe.
White. You too, do be smart.
Don't let the cat out of its tongue
Or
or its
something.
bag. Well then,
As when he turns away from me, I am going to activate Silence of Death, and I'm going to rouse for. I'm going to use my rouse reroll on that one to do Unseen Passage. Fuck. Okay, I gain a hunger, but I am now invisible. So
he will give her a final look and kind of scan the parking lot just as a, paranoid precaution. But pay her no mind for, approaching the building.
Yeah, she's no longer visible to you, so it's easy to pay her no mind. Your mind has told
Cool.
you she's not there. Zeke walks into the building, goes up the two floors of the elevator to approach a office labeled Dr. Weiss, psychiatric therapist. Upon entering, you are greeted with the office of Dr. Weiss.
I'll nod to the receptionist, check in for the appointment, wear my COVID mask because COVID masks, and take a seat, waiting for my turn.
It's only a minute or two after you get there that somebody exits, walking out with kind of head bowed and seems deep in thought. Pays you no mind. The receptionist says, Dr. Weiss can see you now, and ushers you into her office.
I'll approach the door, give it a cursory,
Come in.
and step right in.
Mr. White, it has been quite a while since we've seen you. I'm actually appreciative of you coming. And she gestures to a usual seat.
He'll take the seat and kind of adjust his body posture to make it seem like he doesn't really have a worry, but you could see it on his face.
And as he sits down, Dr. Weiss shuts the door and walks over and just gently sits down. It has been a while since you've came to see me. I'm glad you came back.
It took a lot of courage to be here tonight.
It's difficult trying to get help, I understand. But no,
Thanks.
anything that you say beyond those doors, I will keep private.
I appreciate that. I have much to discuss.
Mhm. And of course, she grabs her notepad and sets it cursory on the table next to her. But she sits down and she sits in a right across from Ezekiel and direct eye contact, trying to make sure that nobody feels like they're being looked down upon.
You connect with her eye gaze.
Mhm.
Start speaking lowly.
Dr. Weiss, I'm going to roll a wits and awareness for you.
Mhm.
Zeke definitely seems more intense this day, but on top of that, there's something else you're not quite sure. You can't put your thumb on it, but it feels dark, almost a lingering presence. What catches your eye is that a flower on your desk seems to wilt, if only a little bit.
Interesting.
It was perfectly fine this morning when you put it there.
Might have to speak with the shop owner at some point. But Ezekiel, or is it all right if I call you Zeke? Or do you prefer Mr. White still?
At this point, we've been together for, years now.
Mm-hmm.
You may address me as you wish. We've become comfortable enough. I'd hoped.
We have. I just always like to check back in. It has been some time. And I do worry about disconnect and a specific disconnect of trust and confidentiality. I just want to make sure that you're comfortable.
I am here.
Which means you're not comfortable.
It's not you. It's these thoughts, Doctor. They're literal knives of teeth humming at me
Mm.
over and over again.
Why don't you tell me about these thoughts?
It started a few weeks ago. I had a seizure a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
They said I hit my head pretty hard, but again, with my seizures, as you've seen a few, they're mostly harmless.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you tend to have some mental issues afterwards. You're more prone to disassociating, if I remember correctly, after you have one. But you're sure you didn't get a concussion or anything of that nature from this bump on the head?
I had 3 people with me at the time, 2 of which looked over me and said that I looked fine.
Hmm.
I did sound fine, but I looked fine.
Mm.
After my little seizure episode, nothing seemed right. I had learned of a friend's death by another's hands, and it, it, it I
It's all right.
I didn't know him all that well. We had associated at time to time when the parties were around, and life was good, and we spoke a few times, and he seemed like a bright young fellow. And then I had learned that the night that they held a party, and I wasn't there, I we lost him. There was an argument, and he's gone now.
And you felt a special connection with this person. Is that correct? Even though you were only associates.
Yes, Ronald was special to all of us.
Mm.
He knew just how to make things feel better.
Mm.
That's when the teeth came. That's when the jaws and teeth came for him.
Mm. Do you feel responsible?
By association. I should have been there, but I had other prior obligations. And you've mentioned to keep my prior appointments.
You should. It's a step towards stability and maturity to make appointments and keep them. But at the same time, this person whom you've lost, the responsibility isn't on you because you weren't there.
It's not my fault.
It's not your fault that this person came under duress simply because you weren't there. That's not how the world works. We have more people that look over us and support us.
I understand. I just it's hard to to associate not being there with the right thing to do. I was told his final moments were peaceful, at least.
I understand that you regret not being there for this individual, but it does happen. And in those certain cases, you can reflect and regret it, but don't wallow in it. You have to be able to move forward and be constructive, not destructive.
Even if I wish this abomination of a person should exist.
You didn't tell me about how he exactly passed on. Was it by an individual's hands? Was he murdered?
I'm not entirely sure about that. I know that there was an altercation and that he had passed away post altercation.
Mm. So it's potentially that this is just a coincidence that he passed away at this time, and it could be completely unrelated to the altercation. So you don't know all the information about the situation itself. And you may never know all the information. So it's very possible that you might not get closure.
And not having closure is okay, correct?
Sometimes closure is just impossible, and we have to be all right with that.
I met with someone the other day as well
Mhm.
after this last incident, and it hurts. One of the family had asked me to meet them at a local bar,
Mhm.
and my daughter was there.
Your daughter.
Yes, poor sweet Abigail.
Mm.
We hadn't spoken in 20 years. I had led her to believe I was dead so that she wouldn't follow in my footsteps.
I remember you speaking of her before, and I know it's a deep regret that you you felt like you turned your back on her to save her.
Yes, it I wish I could have saw her again recently just to apologize, but I know that if I do that, I have to come to terms with the monster I became in her eyes.
Zeke, the thought of you being a monster brings an image to mind. You, coterie members, surrounded by corpses at your compound.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes. Use those techniques. I appreciate that you are actually using the techniques that we've worked through to help calm you, to focus. But it's all,
I I decided that I was going to leave the family for our benefit.
for your benefit or the family's benefit.
Yes, for both.
Hmm.
I I had seen the light, but like Icarus, I flew too close to the sun.
Hmm. And how did you do this? I know you had been cultivating your family for some time, and that's not easily undone.
Again,
There,
the flash of corpses rolls through your brain as you pick through the faces of everyone that called you the prophet.
there, there was an accident. Punch was brought, but beknownst to me, it was poisoned.
Accident my ass. Your beast tinges up in the back of your head. You enjoyed every second of that. You're a murderer, and you know it, and you liked it.
No.
You'd do it again if you had the chance.
Yes, but no. Get out.
Just try and stay with us. Yes.
He'll take a
Poison.
glance out the window and focus on an object 20 feet away for roughly 20 seconds. And then look back.
So, poisoned punch was brought, and you didn't know.
Don't lie to her. Tell her the truth. Tell her you killed them all.
I didn't know.
Stop lying to her. She deserves better. You know it.
It reminded me of his family back down in Jonestown. It was awful. They were all of them, everywhere. Some of them have gotten delirious and blood sprayed all over the area.
Hmm.
It was my fault. I led them, and I failed them.
But I thought you were trying to separate from them. That this was supposed to be beneficial for you and the family, for you to go separate ways. And now you feel responsible for someone else? Again, bringing?
It had happened all after that first seizure. Nothing had made sense. That feeling of the monster deep inside clawing its way at me. Then the screaming of the girl started. I hear her every night.
You hear the regret and the trauma that happened in your presence.
Yes. And those that I couldn't stop.
And those that you couldn't stop. So, who exactly brought the punch to your Jonestown event, Ezekiel? Are they no more?
They are no more.
Go ahead,
That's-
tell her it's cathartic. You want to tell somebody, tell her you did it.
Are you being truthful, Ezekiel?
I brought the punch. It was my fault. I wanted to release them from this burden. I'm bad.
Do you feel better admitting what happened?
No. Because I still hear the screams. I still hear her.
What you need to do is reconcile with the fact that you have done a terrible thing. And you have to, in some way, make it right for yourself.
What?
You have to, in some way, do something right for your family. I know you relied on your family quite a bit. And now the family's burdens rely on you. And that is what's causing the screams and the torment that you're feeling when you rest.
Zeke, the image of the child Celestra echoes in the back of your head as you can hear her begin to speak to you. They're all coming for you. All of them. The dead.
Yes. Yes, they are coming. You are right.
It's not safe.
It is not safe.
Ezekiel, you're safe in my office. But what you need to do is find some way to make this right in your mind.
I should protect them. Yes, I should protect them. I would need to make arrangements. Yes, yes, them.
Are you talking about the families of your family?
Yes. Maybe reach out. Yes, reach out. Protect the young. Protect the old. Yes.
I think you need to find a focused outlet to help and release your trauma in a positive and cathartic way. And I think helping these people will actually grant you peace eventually. It's a hard road and you have to take the first step. But after you take that first step, you can take another and it starts not seeming so bad.
It was an accident
It was.
and a tragedy.
But you need to admit to yourself that you are the arbiter of that accident.
Accident. It was a goddamn buffet. Tell her the truth.
I, Ezekiel White, am the arbiter of the demise of my family. I, Ezekiel White, am the arbiter of the demise of my family. Yes.
And you liked it.
Doesn't that feel better?
Yes. I don't know if the little girl will stop screaming, but
It's a start.
it is.
And that's the thing. We need to make progress. And at some point along the road of progress, she will.
I know I'm not safe. Well, in this room I am safe. But outside I feel like everything is still watching me.
And after an event like you've described, if I was in your place, I would feel like everybody was watching me too. You're going through the stages of grief denial, the stages of acceptance. You've witnessed something extremely terrible and you feel, well, you are the arbiter of what happened. So you have to progress through those stages as well. Eventually, you'll get to anger and bargaining and reasoning and further down the line, you'll be able to accept what had happened and be able to move properly on.
Even if a part of me enjoyed it.
Now
Wow.
we're talking truth.
Now, with that being said, I understand your history. I understand that you're prone to having a lack of empathy with other individuals. And that is something we still have to progress on, is the empathy of being able to understand what has
Yes.
happened. And you understand from a logical standpoint that it was bad. But there's a part of you that is reveling in how, with a snap of your fingers, you ended all those lives. There's a part of
Yes.
you that's reveling in the fact that those people are dead by your hand.
The beast inside was satisfied.
But we know that beast inside shouldn't ever really be satisfied. And even after you've done this, it'll come lurking again.
What does she know? She doesn't know the taste, the delectable flavor of devotion.
I think I need more medication.
I was writing down some notes actually to try and up your dosage. I think maybe we might change what medication you were on specifically. I think your brain chemistry has started getting used to the one that you're currently on and is counterbalancing.
Wonder
So
how devoted she is. What does the good doctor taste like, I wonder?
down, boy.
Zeke gets a slight predatory look.
Dr. Weiss maintains where she is. She's still staring at him directly. Her breathing doesn't pitch.
No. No, this is safe. Safe does not deserve harm. Safe is good. Safe is good.
But yes, I was thinking maybe we would change your medication. Sometimes the cocktails that go on in our brain chemistry get used to certain chemicals being there. Maybe we'll try something different.
Something stronger?
Stronger. Now, with trying this other medication, there might be side effects, but you're used to this. It's nothing you haven't dealt with before.
So the delusions, the psychosis, the accepting of the psychosis, and the eventual rebalancing and slight aggressiveness then.
We will try to circumvent those, but the main ones I was thinking about was a loss of libido, loss of appetite. But those
Oh,
are pretty standard, so
we don't have to worry about the libido part.
Or the
It,
appetite.
that is no concern.
Hmm.
There are finer things in life than libido.
I know. We have spoken before about this with altering your medication. I just always like to make sure that you're aware of changes that could happen.
what about aggressiveness?
Aggressiveness it's a little trickier to hunker down, but it should this new medication set should help allow you to control your aggression more. Keep yourself calmer, more even keel.
Jesus, everything about us is a fucking lie. Show her some real aggression. Come on, Ephraim. You showed it to everyone else. Show her the monster. Show her your truth. She's just another follower.
You are not in charge of me.
Exactly. If it helps to vocalize your dominance, it does sometimes help with aggressive forces to maintain your control.
Yes.
Though it's also best to be done in private if you can.
There's a hotel I've been staying at that allows me to privately vent my frustrations.
That's good. Because you do need to vent. Everyone needs to vent.
The last delusion I had
Mhm.
was actually just last night. And it hurts almost as bad as the first.
What was this delusion?
I had another seizure and I didn't hit my head this time. I was able to catch myself before the tongues started. And I have a new friend who is very, very dear to me. Oh, so dear.
She's a controlling bitch is what she is.
She's close to you. You found a focus, a light in the dark.
Yes. And I had seen her alone in a field, just being happy and remembering times of just being better. I want to get better. I need to get better, not for just myself, but for her. Although in my delusion, she was ripped apart by a monster in a very familiar voice to me as of late. It wasn't my own voice, nor was it the one of the monster inside. But it hurt her in ways that almost bring nausea to mind.
Mhm.
Pardon me. And I don't know whether that was real or just my mind saying, you are sick, you need help. And that scares me.
The image of
Interpret.
the demon's face enters your mind. The teeth coming at you over and over. The beast ripping Annabelle apart in your vision.
Oh, get out of my head.
Deep breaths, Ezekiel. You've gone through quite a lot in just a couple of weeks. Those kind of images, I'm not going to say that they're normal, but are consistent with the type of trauma you've been through recently. You've seemed to have found a new connection with a new focal point that might help you move in a positive direction. You've also started focusing on trying to do right by your family after the incident that has occurred. You also seem to be penitent, if you get me.
If self-flagellation were possible, I would.
And to be honest, I wouldn't recommend harming yourself.
No, no. I've harmed enough. I've harmed too many. But I'm afraid to lose control again if she decided that safe was no longer safe.
Mm. I'm going to prescribe you another medication, one that you can take in the process of when you feel like you're losing control as well.
Is oral, patch, or injection?
It is oral.
How quickly does it dissolve?
You'd be surprised. It dissolves quite rapidly, and then the effects take in about 5 minutes. So if you can stand down and be able to control yourself at least for that amount of time.
Sometimes it's like a frenzy, like sharks in the water. But I have to remain in control.
Mm.
I need to remain in control.
Would you prefer me to give you a injectable over an
No,
oral medication?
no, you'll see him kind of rub at his elbows.
Mhm.
Don't like those anymore.
I understand. I was just thinking of, giving you a secondary option in case you're about to lose control and you don't have time. That maybe this friend Annabelle might be able to give it to you quicker.
What about a spray? A mist, perhaps?
Hmm. Hmm. And she takes a look and she kind of looks at you a little pensively. I think I might be able to accommodate that.
Let let us try the oral medication first.
Mhm.
If I notice that it's not quick or that the side effects are too strong or too weak, actually,
Mhm.
we should go to an injectable.
Mhm.
If that is what your recommendation is.
Mhm. And this is something that you would carry with you, and you'd still be taking the other medications I prescribe.
So the mushrooms, the ketamine, and the um, oh, which was it, doctor?
And she fiddles with her notes just a little bit. Well, the short-term answer is a little bit of LSD. Just a little bit.
That one makes me giddy.
It does, and shockingly, it helps reduce headaches.
Oh,
It's an interesting side effect.
then I would like to re-up on my medication,
Mhm.
and hopefully the doctor, next door, have that filled within the next half hour.
I can definitely make that. She's still working right now, so it's perfect. You came at the right time.
I appreciate that. If you need me to step away so you can make a quick phone call, or
Mhm. You can stay right here for the moment. I'm just going to take a quick peek at my desk, write it up, and I will hand it to my assistant. And then you'll be able to pick up from my assistant on your way out.
okay. And how was today's payment proceeded?
It was just fine, as per always.
Was it? You see him physically hesitate.
Mhm.
Freddie,
Mm. Your benefactor wishes to remain anonymous, but it's funny that you mentioned Freddie. That's my fiance's name.
is it now?
Or Frederick, I should say. That's his name. But I call him Freddie. Is there some connection to the name?
I have a very old, very close friend with that name.
Hmm.
A well-liked individual in the community.
Hmm. And does Freddie show concern for you?
He does.
Normally, we don't see ticks like that unless it's the other side,
Oh,
where a person isn't happy that this person is mentioned.
this tick is new. It's almost like sometimes I could hear him at the back of the back of base of my spine, but
Hmm.
I know that it's just a hallucination.
And it's possibly your subconscious trying to tell you to do some good in the world. I've heard of patients previously that would have one voice that was of a friend that did all the wrong things, and that would be the person that was constantly pulling for them to give in to use again or abuse or cause violence. And then another voice that was the voice of, their grandmother or something that was trying to tell them to do good in the world. So
So, are you saying that Frederick is someone good?
it sounds like from what you've told me about your Frederick, that he seems to be a positive force.
Yes, Mr. And he'll kind of look around the room before he utters the next few words out of his mouth. Mr. Van Dorn is very, very dear to us all.
Mm. And so it's very possible that your subconscious is trying to give you a good voice and a bad voice to try and separate and isolate them down. What you need to recognize is that they are both you, really, when you get down to it. It's your brain trying to deal with traumatic events. And
So it's normal.
it's normal for something like what you've been through. It's not necessarily how most people deal with trauma, but this can happen when traumatic things come up. And she finishes writing the prescriptions and she turns quickly and hands them outside the door. She continues to stay looking at Ezekiel, but she did turn her back to go to the door.
Receptionist takes the papers and shuffles out the door quickly and does what she does.
Mm-hmm.
Annabelle wanted to look at the papers while she was writing just to see if it was above board.
As far as you can tell, yeah. There's definitely scripts for illicit substances.
Perfect.
And she comes back and sits down. We are getting close to time end, but I would like, we still have a few minutes, so I'd like to talk with you about anything you feel that's pressing before we get into scheduling your next visit. So is there anything else you need to mention?
You can see there's a little hesitation on his face.
It's okay, Ezekiel. We've been here together for quite a while.
Tell her about the children. She read it in the paper. Everybody read it in the paper. Come on, it was on the evening news. Tell her about the kids.
You've read the paper, have you not? So you know about the missing. I do not know where they went, but I do pray that they are safe.
Tell her it's your fault.
It's my fault they are gone.
If it's your fault they are gone, then how do you not know where they are?
I blacked out a few times during that night.
Was this that night? With the punch?
Yes, but I know none of the kids partook in the punch. That I am cognizant of.
No. I see. So all of those children are related to your family.
Unfortunately,
The best thing that you can do is try and help them. You already said you wanted to help the family.
would money be enough, or should I take it into my own hands?
Money always helps, but it never helps the soul, if you understand my statement. It might
Yes.
make you feel a little better in time, just a little, but you'll still feel the shame and regret of what happened. Maybe bringing them to people connected, people they can trust versus those children must have some trauma now after what they've been through.
Yes, I regretted seeing them there.
Mhm. Now you kind of see how generational trauma works.
Unfortunately, living it and seeing it are two different things.
Mhm. So the best you can do is try and help these children, try and help the family of your family, and try and be
I
pertinent.
I will start a trust fund for them.
Shouldn't have let him live.
What? I'm sorry, Doctor. That I don't know what came over me with that. I I will start a trust fund for them. That will be step one, ensuring that they have a future.
Mhm.
Step two will be the road to making amends.
Exactly. And we've already talked about in this session today how just taking that first step makes the next step easier, and then the next step easier. It's always the first step that's the hardest.
It is.
And at this point, she pulls out her scheduling book. So she switches from note-taking to
Yeah.
scheduling. We are right about out of time. Could we schedule you for 2 weeks from now? Same time, or
Let's let us do 2 weeks because that should be about when the medication takes effect. Correct.
Mhm. We should
Let's
be
do
able
that.
to see the full effect, and then you can be able to tell me.
Let's let's pencil in for what is it about 9 o'clock now? So about how about anytime after 8 p.m.
I actually do have an opening at 8:30 if you'd like that.
Let us take that.
Mhm. And as always, you will get an email confirmation. I know
Mm,
your cell phone is damaged.
yes, I lost it during one of my um, delusional episodes
Mhm.
of wandering the city.
Because usually a text message would also be sent out. But as always, you can call from anywhere 24 hours in advance and confirm the appointment.
All right, that would be roughly what, the second or third of the month?
And she takes a look real quick. It would be about it would be the 4th.
Okay. I will either stop in or send someone or call in on the third or first.
hmm Just
You,
give
you
us
will
time and we can
you'll
reschedule if need be.
you'll know by the first of the month if I have to cancel the appointment.
Mhm. What I'd like
Otherwise,
you to also do is potentially try and keep a journal of these
okay.
subversive thoughts for the next 2 weeks.
Okay. I will go ahead and on my way home tonight buy another journal. I've misplaced my first one.
And that happens on occasion.
Yes,
I
it
feel
does.
like you made some good progress today. You've released some of that internal turmoil that you were keeping bottled up. And now you're on the first step to many steps.
Yes. I hope that is enough to satisfy the Mad Hatter. Well, I do appreciate you taking this hour. I know that it's a long schedule for you.
Mhm. It's all right. I'm trying to be as accommodating as I can. I understand the evenings work best for you.
Yes, with my day shift being so rough, almost blinding, it's easier during the night to
Mhm.
have a life, it should, as it seems.
And you'd be surprised. There's plenty. My evening hours fill up faster than my day hours. And I think it's exactly that. Our lives are filled with just trying to function and be stable during the day.
There's
Yes.
a light knock at the door.
Mm.
It's your assistant. She's just giving you your cue.
Yes. All right, Ezekiel. And she stands up.
He'll stand up post haste.
Mm-hmm. And I believe it's time. I believe my assistant has your medication in tow.
He'll reach out a hand to shake it
Mm-hmm.
and do blush of life just before she touches it.
Yep.
That is a success.
And she shakes his hand aptly. And she'll guide him to the door, as she does with every patient.
Excellent.
He'll give her the after you and exit and take his medication.
Annabelle, do you hang around or do you find your way out?
Annabelle is going to stay in the office for a minute.
Zeke will make his way to the car slowly.
Zeke exits the office and heads out of the building, leaving Dr. Weiss and a now blackened flower on her desk.
He does pick up the flower, and strange. I brought these in this morning.
A couple
I'll
of
have to talk to
petals
my-
fall off and look almost as if they started growing mold already.
I'll
I'm
have to
going
talk to the
to-
florist.
I'm going to drop Silence of Death as I sit down on the couch.
But you're still unseen
I'm still
passage.
invisible.
Okay.
Yes.
The sound of a creaking chair cushion comes from behind you.
He kind of turns and looks around.
I'm going to drop Unseen Passage. Good evening, Doctor. You're quite the curious one.
Literally out of nowhere is a person now seated where Zeke once was. If you would please describe yourself for our viewing audience and the good doctor.
Yes, Annabelle is about 5'4", maybe 110 pounds. She has muddy blondish hair, sunken eyes. Her features are kind of scarred. She's got like scarring across her face. She does not look good. Let's put it like that. She is very obviously something wrong with her. Her lips are blackish, they don't look alive, as I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Vice, I'm going to give you a quick humanity check.
Yeah.
Given your extensive training, while this is a shocking occurrence, you do kind of hold your shit. But it's definitely disturbing. This should not be happening. This person should not be here. And what the fuck is wrong with her? How did you get in here?
Yeah. I didn't hear anyone come in, and I don't have any other appointments today. Do you need help?
No. I'm curious how you can help me. Mr. White is he's in my care for the time being, and his lips are obviously still as loose as ever. So that leaves me in an interesting predicament as it pertains to you.
She clearly looks threatening. The dark feeling you got earlier is absolutely pronounced. The sensation of being a mouse cornered by a cat creeps up enough of the back of your spine to cause hairs to raise as she veils threats.
Well, all of my patients, I have confidentiality agreements with all of them.
I'm sure you do.
While this is going on, I want to make it very clear that she is, Dr. Weiss is being very subtle, but she has a panic button.
Yeah.
Yeah, her hand is right there on it, and it's just very cursory. She's trying to keep the composure.
There's no need to be rude, Doctor. I was hoping we could have a business relationship, since that's what takes place here, correct? Business?
Well, I'm in the business of helping others. What are you thinking?
You're going to help me help Mr. White. Or is that not okay?
Well, I am helping Mr. White.
No, you are not. Mr. White is irredeemable. He is broken, like me. He and I are both monsters. And I think the coincidences are starting to stack up. I believe you know other monsters as well. Or am I wrong?
Well, I have lots of people that come into my office and believe they're monsters and believe they're irredeemable.
No. I mean real, legitimate monsters.
Show her. Show her what a monster looks like.
Yeah. Annabelle is going to she's going to kind of basically, like, I'm going to rush at the good doctor and grab her and pull her up out of her seat.
Okay. Give me dexterity and brawl.
Okay.
And you don't possess celerity, do you?
I have rapid reflexes, but
that's reactionary.
Yeah. So, and I'm not gonna do that. I was like, I should probably rouse the blood. My dice pool's not great, but let's see. See how this goes. One success.
Okay. Dr. Weiss, you see her tense. There's a slight lean as she poises to lunge at you, and in fact does. It's kind of telegraphed. It's not the most graceful thing, but she definitely is making good on what she says. Your instinctive reaction is to press the panic button. To wit, there's a brief 3 strobe that goes off in the office. And that is where we're going to pause. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining all of us for an episode of therapy. I'm hitting the wrong buttons. I apologize. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for a session of therapy that went awkwardly awry. We will see you all later this evening during our normal stream time for Prince William by Night. Thank you again for joining us for Vignette. It was a pleasure having you as a guest player. Annabelle, Zeke, we will see you later this evening. Viewing audience, we love you. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, and we look forward to doing other mini sessions in the near future. We will see you all soon. Bye-bye for now.